We live in a very politically divisive time. Splits happen in communities often, even over the smallest of differences.
These are the same type of people that want to gaslight you. They're like, oh, Biden was sharp as a tack, right, when he was on his way out. And same type of like, oh, Bill Nye the Science Guy trying to tell you human sex is on a spectrum because clownfish do things.
Rarely is there ever something large sects of people can come together on and agree with. A large cause for such rifts is due to instigators on both sides, using the drama to farm attention that will benefit them exclusively, while doing so under the guise of trying to better the community they are a part of. Some may do this unintentionally, as they do not know any better, preferring to stick to information they are personally comfortable with, even if it's not founded in reality.
I'm very familiar with first-person shooters ever since they've ever existed, and thus it becomes annoying because these people on this cheating subject will try and gaslight you and just tell you, oh, you're an old fogey that...
And others will do it despite being shown otherwise. They will lie, they will cheat. They will knowingly spread misinformation as long as it will garner them infamy and increase their personal revenue streams.
YouTube's upcoming policy changes may restrict channels from using AI voices, which could have affected us making our videos. To stay ahead and make sure there are no issues, we'll be switching from an AI-generated voice to a real human one. This way, we can continue bringing you content without interruption.
What you're hearing now is the new voice for Call of Shame. Yes, this is my real voice. To be precise, it's actually the voice of one member of the Call of Shame team who has been appointed as the official voice of the channel.
The situation that arose due to RileyCS's cheating allegations brought forward many who chose to benefit from this drama rather than trying to disperse any misinformation, or even attempting to hold a conversation in good faith.
Alright, so I left this clip in to show Riley doing well, because I'm a fair man. I'm doing 1080p, 60 frames a second, download the content direct from the creators. Remember, we were doing 3-frame transitions. Let's see here. Dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Now on 19, we're moving over. Stuff's in the way. Jiggling in there. Sending some more off. Boom, 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 boom. A lot more rocky now, huh? Because I'm a fair man.
Today I will be covering a few of those misconceptions as I found them personally rather annoying to deal with. The fact that the words and actions of a few detractors have managed to create such a stagnant environment for discussion is honestly disappointing. As such, I feel that it is important to drown out these people whose only goals and ambitions are to garner personal fame. The best way to do that is to tackle their positions directly and provide counter information to what they have showcased. Highlight their dishonesty and expose them for what they really are. I went into this video expecting that aspect of my research to be difficult. I'm here to tell you that it honestly wasn't. Anyone with an internet connection and a couple of hours of free time would have been able to figure out the vast majority of these issues rather quickly. Alternatively, you could use that free time to watch a couple of videos. My friend Boren has recently released this video exposing Call of Shame for being nothing more than a disgusting AI slopfest, purposely lying about his credentials as well as faking his own AI anti-cheat system.
I've built my own client-side, server-integrated anti-cheat system. It was capable of detecting every known cheat in Call of Duty right at boot. I also created Guardian TrueSight, which uses computer vision to detect subtle aimbots and soft aim in Call of Duty. It measures aiming velocity and applies entropy analysis, rooted in Shannon's information theory, to track aim decay patterns over time. And as for the argument that less skilled players can't spot aimbots, let me be clear. I've won countless ladders in old-school Call of Duty competing on game battles. I played for the best team in the world.
Since 1993, I've been smoking weed. Ask about me.
It is a very good video that I would highly recommend watching, after mine of course. Due to how thoroughly he dismantles Call of Shame, I won't be discussing his content as much in this video, though it will be brought up from time to time. As such, I will mainly be focusing on 10IQGaming as well as a few other statements from content creators and comments from my last video. My goal with this video is to dispel the majority of issues and topics brought up to attack Riley and delegitimize her defenders. So, I hope you will enjoy. One of the main arguments against Riley's aim is that people try to discredit her based on her performance on the first day of the beta. And what are the arguments against her?
If you're not convinced, what really did it for me on this Riley story here was apparently there's footage from day one of the Battlefield 6 open beta. And it turns out Riley was painfully mid, painfully average, if not below that day, where none of these aimbot shenanigans worked for him. And you can't just go god tier Battlefield 5 footage and just suck this hard.
Because it was the first day, cheats weren't yet available, which means that Riley would be playing with nothing more than her own skill level.
First, we'll get into the legit gameplay, and I'll show you RileyCS's real aim and real gameplay without cheats. All Riley has at this current point is just a crosshair monitor. Let's get to the video.
According to these people, Riley isn't a good player. She didn't hit any crazy flicks, her tracking wasn't incredible, she was for all intents and purposes an average player.
So I don't know. Yo, what?
Wow, lazy.
I've never lied once.
From long range, now has to like deal with recoil a little.
Layers of
Not a laser gun all of a sudden.
Let's check this aim out. Oh, get off target there. Moving around. Oh, off target. Oh, off the right. Bam, down below. Bopping around, but not even landing shots right there.
And then not so great at the close fights anymore, huh? All that jiggle left to right.
Okay, are we going to take some shots here or? No, we're not.
Why are you not a bet?
Okay, here we go. We got a target across the way there. Off to the left. Way off to the left. My God.
15. Moving on 15. Painfully average.
Oh, let's break this down. Wow, look at that aim, boys. Just shot him in the balls. Swang all over the place. Will he land a shot? Oh, no, missed. Shooting the floor. Shooting the floor. Shooting at his boots. Shot his golf. Shooting off to the left. Finally killed him.
So he's an idiot.
I'm an idiot.
Riffing's all well and good, it's the internet, it's to be expected. Speaking of expectations, another thing that should be expected in this day and age is that a Battlefield product would be performing terribly in its opening hours, if not its opening days.
Well, the Battlefield 2042 beta is out. We could put a lot of time in it, and unfortunately, it is a mess. A pretty big mess.
When you think of big budget AAA gaming disasters, you probably think of Cyberpunk and Anthem, but last year we were blessed with perhaps one of the most insultingly awful launches of any big budget title ever, Battlefield 2042.
Oh, that's real nice.
Despite this only being a beta, there were a number of people complaining about poor performance, bugs, glitches, hardware problems, having enemies and teammates randomly turning invisible, being kicked from the lobby, or even being booted from the game entirely.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
So what were the problems Riley was facing on day one of the beta? Well, it seems it was a mix of things. Riley was complaining about the performance of her game, and if we were to compare her average FPS count on day one of the beta to her montage on Twitter, we can see that she was only reaching at times just over a third of her normal frames per second. Although, as many photo detractors have pointed out, this isn't a valid excuse for her poor gameplay.
Future frame rendering back on?
Okay, so this was day one. More worried about settings, not excited for the game. Main focus is just settings and sulking and crying and...
Dude, I'm actually stomached by how bad my game is running. I'm getting...
So Riley's bitching about the frame rate the whole time, and it's like 90. I remember back in the day, I was like, we were dealing with like 20 frames on a good day.
But it kind of is. You see, despite claiming to be first-person shooter enthusiasts...
So this is back in the day when Counter-Strike was super hot, and you know, I've still played, so I have played games since like Commodore 64.
There's no trust me bros in the Tarkov community. There's just not. That's why I'm thankful to be making these videos in the Tarkov community, where a lot of players are very fed up with cheating. They don't accept trust me bros.
These individuals, namely 10IQGaming and a fellow who decided to bug me repeatedly in my comments section for the first Riley video, Mr. Milspec Monkey, clearly demonstrate their complete lack of understanding for why high frames per second matter in competitive video games, or even just video games in general.
So one of the first topics we want to talk about is animation smoothness. One of the things you'll notice that is a great difference between a 60 frame per second and a 240 frame per second game is the smoothness of the animation. And that's because in each case, the rates of the animation updates are happening at different frequencies. 60 frame updates happen once every 60th of a second, which means that as an animation is stepping through, it only has 60 times every second to update its position, which means the steps are larger. At the 240 frame rate, the updates are happening 4 times as frequently, once every 240th times per second, which means that the size of the animation steps are smaller, which makes the animation feel much smoother. Taking a look at this top and bottom, you can see that 60 frame and 240 frame rate video have a very different feel in terms of smoothness. The 60 frame rate video has much larger animation steps, making it feel much less smooth than the 240 frame per second video.
So having a high frame rate means that your game feels smoother and is more responsive, and the responsiveness is really important for competitive games. Here's a really drastic example. Let's say your gaming PC was trash and it was running at only 1 frame per second. This means when you press a button or move your mouse, it may take up to an entire second to show your inputs on screen, assuming everything else was 0 latency. But if you had a much better frame rate at like 100 FPS, then your inputs would take a maximum of 1/100th of a second to show up on the screen. Wow, it all makes so much sense now. So would this actually make me better at first-person shooter games? It definitely could, because having high FPS means that your enemy's movement is smoother and it's easier to track. But as you get higher and higher up the FPS ladder, it's going to take some really big numbers in order to perceive a difference.
Yeah, so at 60 frames in hertz, you're kind of getting delay in 2 areas. You're getting delay from the game state to what's actually being shown on screen. So the guy's actually in a little bit different spot because the rendering took long enough to reach your monitor. Additionally, your input is also delayed. So when you click, that is going to take a little bit longer time to actually reach the game state. So you're getting kind of latency in both directions.
And you can see we have multiple frames of our 1000 frame per second camera that correspond to a single frame on the monitor because it's only refreshing 60 times a second, right? So I go scroll through pretty quick here. So that was a clear miss.
Yeah.
But this one up here, how tippy toes can you get? Because we can't really adjust this right now.
I'm good.
Okay, so this one right here, there's your crosshair. That one's more arguable. You kind of hit him in the tush. So that tiny difference could be exactly what was just explained to us then.
So you have to like kind of enter in your head that it's like a slight pattern, because this one you have to like master a delay. With the higher refresh rate, you just have to master more of a reaction time, I would say. Like it's more on towards that aspect.
High refresh rate doesn't make you a better gamer, but it makes it easier to be a better gamer.
I would say so, yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, Shroud only hit 2 out of 30 on this.
Really?
Yeah. And same for Corey, the legitimate, actual professional gamer.
Oh.
So the reason...
So you're saying that I should also be a legitimate professional gamer?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Grimm's hit 4 out of 10.
Wow.
Consistently.
He does have a reputation for being pretty quick.
So you had mentioned something really interesting to me. You said that because we're running at such a low frame rate, you can't really trust your eyes and you're just going off muscle memory.
Pretty much.
Interesting.
I can't track either. It's too hard.
Now, Mr. Monkey seems to have a somewhat valid excuse for not knowing why it is important to have numbers this high on the corner of your screen.
And thus it becomes annoying because these people on this cheating subject will try and gaslight you and just tell you, oh, you know, you're an old fogey. That it's a weird mix because it'll be like you're a console gamer, so you don't know how mouse and keyboards work, or you're an old fogey, so you're no good and also don't know how mouse and keyboards work.
Ah yes, my favorite. Chimps on clown sticks. But Mr. IQ really shouldn't have that excuse since he is a primarily PC gamer, yet he doesn't seem to acknowledge or even understand why this change could be so important, preferring to analyze Riley's footage at 60 FPS in his media player rather than the 80 to 100 FPS Riley was playing at during the beta, and suggesting that this is at all a fair thing to do.
Now, it's a 60 FPS game here. All right, we're all aware, it's 60 FPS. You all accept that?
I'm doing 1080p, 60 frames a second, download the content direct from the creators, because I'm a fair man.
Okay, but Shandy, why is this important? You are harping on about frames per seconds and numbers. Surely the difference between 60 FPS, 100 FPS, and 240 FPS is not that different. After all, back in my day, we'd be lucky enough to reach 20, and we still played games completely fine.
I remember back in the day, I was like, we were dealing with like 20 frames on a good day.
Well, just because you played CSGO on a hot potato in 1733 and managed to get 1 kill on a stationary object doesn't necessarily make you correct. So let's talk about it. Why does high FPS matter? Typically in video games, a higher FPS means having an overall smoother experience. It makes games more responsive, animations play out cleaner, and there is less of a delay in system latency.
System latency is typically known as that mouse click to muzzle flash or that motion to photon latency. It is not network latency, which is typically how your computer communicates over the internet to a back-end game server, sometimes referred to as lag.
On Riley's first day of playing Battlefield 6, she was typically playing the game while receiving information about what was happening at a third of the speed she was getting the very next day. As a result of this, her experience was not even close to being as smooth as it would have been in the future.
Taking a look at our game pipeline, we have a 60 frames per second example. And again, for simplification, we've decided to set the GPU rate and the CPU rate to be the same. So in this case, they're both at 60 frames per second. That means the blue bar here, the CPU, takes 16 milliseconds at 60 frames per second to do its work. It then hands off that frame to the GPU, which also takes 16 milliseconds at 60 frames per second to do its work. The gray bar that you see there is the amount of time it actually takes the display to update and show you that frame. At 240 frames per second, everything speeds up. Our CPU work, our GPU work, and our display work are all roughly 4 times as fast, so at 240 frames per second, your system latency is 1/4 the time. Using a single frame as an example, we have a fast system here on the top and a slower system on the bottom. They're both doing the same work, which is to render and produce a single frame. The fast system is producing CPU work, GPU work, and display work sooner than that slower system doing the same work. The difference between those two is the difference in overall system latency, which is felt as reduced input delay, which is mouse click to muzzle flash or motion to photon.
Animations were clunkier, information took longer to be processed, the game was overall less responsive, and there was a significantly longer delay in system latency. Something to keep in mind about Riley's gameplay is consistency. Riley typically plays Kovacs with incredibly high FPS values on a 240Hz monitor. When someone plays games like this consistently over a number of years, they become conditioned to a certain playstyle and level of consistency. That doesn't necessarily make them a good player, but it makes it easier for them to play well. In these videos, there are jokes clearly made at Riley's expense about her fiddling around with her settings and being upset at the performance she was getting. Now, it makes sense for the console gamer to do this. They haven't been touched by the light of God yet. They don't know any better. But what is IQ's excuse? He should know better. As a PC gamer with hopefully a monitor that has a higher than 60Hz refresh rate, he should easily be able to understand why Riley's ability to play the game would improve after her performance got better.
I'm an idiot.
And yet, here he is, analyzing her gameplay at 60 FPS. Riley was already receiving information about her game at a third of the speed she would be getting normally, but now IQ has decided to cap that number even more to make it seem like Riley is just that much worse. I understand that not everyone has access to high FPS cameras, and that Riley's VODs were likely streamed at 60 FPS to make viewing as easy as possible for the largest number of viewers. But don't you think it would have been entirely fair of IQ to provide that disclaimer? To state that this is the situation he is dealing with and this is the information he can work with? He's over here analyzing Riley's gameplay as if he is some sort of pro esports cheat detection agent hired by EA, but he's doing it in the worst way possible while also not acknowledging these differences.
Okay, we're going to take some shots here, or? No, not. Okay, here we go. Your target across the way there. Off the left, way off the left, my god. Look right, oh, got some shots there. Landed one. No, nothing.
Mr. Monkey and IQ tend to get rather defensive about their intelligence. They don't like the idea of being spoken down to, and make a few references to being annoyed at people who assume that they don't know how video games work or that they don't know how technology functions.
Every time a streamer opens their mouth about me, they always will try to tell you that I'm wrong. Now, I did proof check, and from what I see, it looks like EA banned Riley. I'm a liar. December 2023 or January 2024, somewhere around there. About 1 year and 8 or 9 months ago. Now, this was when Tarkov's recoil was a lot more than what it was now. Or, I'm an idiot. Moving around, oh, off target. Oh, off the right, or I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so right there in Notepad, open, we have Valorant something. I mean, who knows what that could be. Or I'm crazy. You guys need to understand, when I'm investigating these people, it's like I'm investigating my former self.
You're a console gamer, so you don't know how mouse and keyboards work, or you're an old fogey, so you're no good, and also don't know how mouse and keyboards work. But as you can guess, technology of mice have not changed drastically over 10 years. They're still the same.
Let's begin by putting the Series 2 Pro into the bin.
Very tiny increments. They do not unlock new human skill sets. It's not a thing.
The Fnatic Lamzu Maya X. This mouse is just amazing, incredible mouse, and the increased size over the smaller version I think has just really made this a lot better because it's just so universally friendly. For fingertip, claw, or palm grip, I think this mouse would satisfy the majority of people.
Although, what exactly prevented them from doing a simple Google search to find out why high FPS matters in video games? These are supposed to be the people who want to have good faith conversations around these topics.
Because I'm a fair man.
They are the ones who call out the liars and the cheats and the fake communities.
We have an announcement from Call of Shame that changed everything. Now, big shout out to Call of Shame.
The gameplay is identical. The same snap behavior is there, but let's be clear, the snap itself is not the cheat. The soft aimbot is the mechanical auto-correction that takes over as the crosshair nears the target. The so-called pro players and Riley defenders from that strange little list they created just don't recognize what soft aim really looks like, so they gaslight the clips by overanalyzing and debunking the snaps.
He then shows Riley's gameplay side by side with Shimmy's gameplay, saying they are the exact same thing, and that Guardian True Sight is showing both of them cheating. Except the footage he includes for this first part is the footage of the clip he himself said was not cheated, but was just inserted to give plausible deniability.
And no, that's not cheating. Cheaters often include clips like this in their montages so that absolute morons can try to break it down and say, see, he's not cheating.
But they still fall for the exact same stupid propaganda that was being shoved off onto console players back during the Xbox 360 days. They haven't learned a thing. They still choose to live in permanent ignorance while yelling at you for requesting that they simply get better. If 10IQ or Mr. Monkey bothered to do any sort of research into Riley, namely watching even a single one of her streams, they likely could have made significantly better arguments for their position, because Riley is not that cracked of a player even when her game performs well, or rather, she doesn't choose to play as optimally as possible. This footage is from the last day of the beta. Notice anything interesting about her gameplay? How about the fact that she is getting blasted? If they had bothered to implement this footage into any of their videos, they likely would have had a better argument simply because there is an element of inconsistency being shown. Here, I'll do one for you. Of course, Riley isn't that good of a player. She had to turn her cheats off in order to not be soft-banned by Battlefield 6. She's already been banned from Twitch twice and didn't want it happening again. So now we get to see how she really plays, and she is painfully mid. Well, I guess it's not entirely accurate since, I used Riley's correct pronouns, but still. However, it would be a pretty bad argument anyways, because despite her being blasted in this footage, it doesn't mean she is cheating here. Because as everyone and their pet raccoons have mentioned already, this series of clips that went viral is a highlight reel. It is a 2-minute edited sequence of Riley's best moments during a 6 to 7 hour long stream. My footage of Riley playing on the last day of the beta is 2 minutes of uninterrupted, unedited gameplay. I am more than certain that if I were to edit the entire VOD down, I could replicate the first series of clips using only what was present in this VOD. And why would I be able to do this? How did Riley's skill get so much better after the first day of the beta while still being able to fluctuate so drastically? Well, it's because her FPS is better. The animations are smoother, there's significantly less system delay, and her game is more responsive. This is something that not a single one of her detractors has ever bothered to mention if it was not on the first day, and it was only ever brought up to make fun of Riley for complaining about her performance. Her aim could only have gotten better because of her cheats. Literally nothing else was an acceptable answer. Speaking of acceptable answers, let's look at Riley's supposed account name change. Nearing the end of the Battlefield 6 beta, Riley was having difficulty launching her game through EA and was crashing a number of times on stream.
What you're going to see is Riley having issues and crashing 3, 4, 5 times.
She was able to fix this issue by launching Battlefield 6 through Steam.
I saw this on Twitter. I'm curious to see what Boren says, but I'm pretty sure that the reason the crashes were happening was she was playing on EA Play and then she swapped to Steam. And then it worked.
Maybe he used the Steam loader instead of the EA loader and it changed his in-game name.
And miraculously found no issues while she was playing.
I'm in a game, guys. I'm in a game. I'm just going to quickly see if I crash.
This was a commonly cited solution for bypassing the problem Riley had, and was also likely recommended to her by her friends during the stream.
Listen to this. Listen to the friends straight away. Oh yeah, no, that's normal. Yeah, I've had the same thing. Don't worry about it. I've had the same thing. Yeah, of course you have, brother.
However, our reliable, expert, cheat, master sleuths.
Any person in gaming who's going to sit there and live stream and has to repeatedly swear that they're a legitimate gamer, but yet has another account on standby with their settings, the exact same level, ready to go, and then mysteriously transfer over to it on stream after putting an overlay up and not say a word about it, that person's not legit. I don't believe, trust me, bros. I look into things more.
Managed to notice that when Riley signed back into her game through Steam, her name changed from TTV RileyCS to just RileyCS.
His mate was just warning him that it's going to show his Steam name if he logs in. And then Riley was like, oh, it's fine. I think he was kind of just warning Riley like, hey, people are going to notice you're on a different account and it's going to show. Oh, it's fine.
And would you look at that, the number of friends she had magically increased after reinstalling the game and launching it through a different game's launcher.
And also, pay attention. Now, miraculously, Riley has 45 friends and not 15. Now there's 45.
This is highly suspicious behavior and proves without a shadow of a doubt that she signed into an alt account she just so happened to have ready to continue playing her game.
Even if Riley did not get banned, why have another alt account ready to go the exact same level? What world do you need that?
An account that also happens to have the exact same level and exact same guns and exact same XP she had on her EA account. But why exactly did she bother doing that? It's almost as if she knew that she would be soft banned by EA and had all these accounts ready to go.
Now, something you'll also notice is, it's almost like Riley is expecting the words on the screen to say you are banned. Every single time the game crashes and kicks her, he instantly alt tabs and he doesn't let his stream see what's happening.
This was an incredibly common misconception that managed to spread like wildfire from people who honestly should just know better by this point. This is just the same account but from a different launcher. In this case, Steam instead of EA. It's why her name is different and it's why she has more friends, because she is launching Battlefield 6 from the launcher she spends the most time playing on. As Boren shows in his video, I managed to test this with Titanfall 2.
Shandy provided me some footage of him testing this with Titanfall, and you can see the player name and friends lists are both different.
Yeah, this happens in Apex too. If you start, Origin has this thing where it's EA Play now, but Origin has this thing, like, if you played Apex, you know this is how it works. Because you have my Origin account, I think it's Otter on Twitch, and then my Steam name is Otter. If I start the game and I'll log in Otter on Twitch and EA, it's called Otter on Twitch. If I log in on Steam, it's just called Otter.
In order to make sure that the test was legitimate, I changed my EA account from Shandy the Squire to Shando Punk. And as you can clearly see in the footage, both names are present. Shando Punk has a list of only 6 EA friends, but Shandy the Squire, my Steam account, has about 40 friends, yet the account is the exact same. I have all of the same progress in the multiplayer and all of the same achievements. Boren mentioned how Call of Shame should have known this since he is a supposed Call of Duty player. So, he should know that COD can be played either from the Battle.net launcher or through Steam. And yet, they never bring it up. The same should be true of IQ. IQ is, from what I can tell, aware of this fact, but doesn't seem to want to acknowledge that fact. He even says as much in the video.
Maybe he used the Steam loader instead of the EA loader and it changed his in-game name.
But then he just changes his position and gets Snow Bunny mind controlled by Call of Shame into the exact opposite position. Thinking that this is just one of Riley's alt accounts. That Riley is trying to bypass a soft ban.
The cheater now tried to repair the game files as he desperately attempts to log into the account that has been soft banned. He made it in.
There's no such thing as a soft ban in Battlefield 6, as far as I know. Have you guys heard of a soft ban in Battlefield 6? I've never heard of that in my life.
There is no such thing as a soft ban. If you are being banned, you will be told as much. Signing into the game again from a different launcher would not solve this problem. Having your game crash repeatedly after getting into a game is not evidence of a ban. It is also not unique to Battlefield 6. When I played Marvel Rivals during its first few months of activity, I was regularly kicked from my games and sent straight to my desktop. Likely because Unreal Engine 5 didn't like me playing Iron Man. Crashing in video games is an incredibly common occurrence, especially for fans of Fallout New Vegas, which is an almost entirely single-player experience. DICE is not going to go out of their way to create the single most esoteric ban system I have ever seen for exactly one streamer who went viral. This is just a blatant lie, and if it's not lying, then it's a severe case of ignorance, which is arguably just as bad.
You've proved nothing. All you've done is play victim, gaslight, and prove nothing. Big shout out to Call of Shame.
But let's make an argument here, because I'd like to touch up on something. What if Riley did just sign into a new account through one of her alts? Maybe her first account was having some problems. Maybe she had to deal with stream snipers regularly. Maybe she wanted to play with her friends but couldn't because her MMR was too high. So she navigates to her side account. Why is that a problem? These individuals, namely Call of Shame, 10IQGaming, and all of the goblins they send to my account to spam me with dislikes and clippy PFPs, seem to think that it is just severely unhinged behavior to have multiple accounts for whatever reason. Normal people just don't do that. So clearly, you have something to hide. Like being the only person in Battlefield history to be soft banned by official EA servers. That's an important term I'd like you all to be aware of, alright? Official EA servers. We'll get back to it. What exactly is so wrong to these people about having more than one account? I get the cheating allegations, but we are moving on from that. Because it's more than just cheating. They have an irrational distaste for people with more than one account, and I'd like to know why.
Moving on, we have a very large number of accounts that RileyCS uses. Now, for someone who claims they don't cheat, what is the good of having all these different Steam accounts that you own that are privated so that no one can see the information? Most of them are very new or close to new. What is the point of having all these accounts that I have proven are yours? Why do you have all these accounts, Riley? People who play legit don't have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different Steam accounts, Riley.
I'm not a big streamer, I'm not a gigantic channel, but I still have more than one account for many games that I play. Similar to Boren, I also play League of Legends, and I have about 4 accounts. One account to play in Australian regions, one account to play in US servers, and one account to play in EU West servers. I do this because I have friends in all of these regions. Other players such as Broxa or Eloise create alt accounts to basically muck around and try new things in their games, without permanently harming the stats for their main accounts. Challenge run streamers like Little Aggie create new Steam accounts all the time so they can try and beat games like Sekiro within 2 hours so they can refund the game. I mentioned Riley potentially playing on a different account that had a lower MMR, and this is incredibly valid. If you want to play online competitive games with your friends but you are unable to join their lobbies because they are either a lower or higher rank than yours, then making a new account to specifically be able to play with them makes a lot of sense to me. Have we never heard of the term smurfing before? Many streamers will often create alt accounts to bypass being stream sniped, which ruins their engagement with the games they are playing. And if you are a bit spicy with the content you consume, but you also are a bit shy and don't want your parents or your friends to know that you are playing Futa, Fix, Dick, Dine, and Dash, then yeah, maybe make an alt account. Not me though, I'm horny on main. Another popular argument people like to use to claim Riley was cheating is the fact Riley was previously banned from Twitch for 7 days for cheating in an FPS game.
RileyCS has been 7 days suspended before on Twitch on October 18, 2024 for cheating in a multiplayer game.
This is ground zero, the main evidence to suggest that she should have remained banned on Twitch after the recent controversy, because she had a prior. But I've been finding an issue with this. IQ seems to think that this ban was significantly more legitimate because Twitch didn't play around with the rules as much back then.
This, however, is an actual 7-day suspension for cheating in a multiplayer game. This is cheats on screen only. Like, Twitch doesn't sit down and assess gameplay and decide you're cheating. Like, they only do this for flat out plain as day cheating on stream. Like, cheats on screen. There's nothing else they do this. And a 7-day suspension is very harsh.
So Riley had to have been cheating. It's not like Twitch has ever had a history with false flagging channels before, especially if they were VTubers or anything.
You see, Twitch is very inconsistent with its enforcement of the rules. Sometimes it'll ban a streamer for a month because of one really small issue, or even no issue at all, like a misunderstanding. Sometimes it'll permanently ban streamers over fucking nothing. They don't enforce their rules equally across the platform, similar to what YouTube was just called out for by Corey Kinshin. Twitch, for a long time, has always been really inconsistent with its enforcement of their rules.
There's Feifei, who calls out Twitch after their 7 ban demanding answers. Remember Scarly, by the way, who had her account indefinitely suspended because of the hype train in her offline chat. There's Zentreya, that's very recent. Yeah, Lydia's in that thread too. There's this other VTuber called Delta, says that she got hate rated and mass reported, and then Twitch still replies saying it was not due to mass report, but rather that she had an appropriate image in her bottom right overlay. And I guess it was somebody in her Discord call. There's Cloto from Mythos saying that she got a strike for sexual teams. She says it happened to her twice, then they took down her VOD and you cannot get it back when you get smacked with it. That one's gone. Back in May, there was a few others. Kitty Flute here is saying that she got indefinitely banned on Twitch. They accepted her appeal, but their account is still banned. 7-day suspension rejected. Indefinite suspension accepted. What?
But this Twitch ban isn't the only prior Riley is being accused of. For some reason, people seem to think that Riley was hardware banned in Tarkov last year, and Mr. IQ once again has a video covering Riley allegedly cheating in Tarkov.
The Tarkov community is a different animal when it comes to cheating. There's no trust me bros. There's no I'm just good at the game, you're bad if you think I'm cheating. There's none of that. There's show account now, taking VODs down means you cheat. All this stuff that just seems to be acceptable in Battlefield or COD, it doesn't happen over here in Tarkov. Deleting VODs is an instant you cheat. Firing a fully stock foul like this I mean,
a collie or a corrugated hose.
That's either you cheat or show me your account right now. I want to see what's going on here.
Full disclosure, I have never played a game of Tarkov in my life. Even still, my eyes glazed over when I saw this clip. If you told me that someone was cheating in a game where they hit 2 stationary targets standing right in front of them, I really wouldn't know how to react because that just sounds silly. In any other game, if you said this, you would promptly be ignored as just another whiny little snot. The younger brother who doesn't like being beaten on Xbox, so he screams cheats. Looking at that clip, my initial thought was, I could do that. Doesn't look hard. But I was willing to entertain the idea that Riley was cheating, so I did the logical thing. I called in someone who does play Tarkov to verify if this was legitimate cheating. And how do I best explain this? Have you ever heard a hyena laughing? The person I brought in was befuddled at this accusation, even laughing about it with me in a VC. He spent the next 10 or so minutes showing me the patch notes for the game and explaining that multiple recoil adjustments were made to stock weapons, such as the one Riley was using in the clip, in order to improve their feel and make them more comfortable to use for players. If this wasn't enough for me to instantly dismiss the idea that Riley was cheating in Tarkov, my friend also pointed out that the patch IQ was using to showcase that really bad recoil.
The foul that we just saw being fired by RileyCS, this is posted on her Twitter account. If you look at the bottom left of the screen, this was in January or December 2024, December 2023 or January 2024, somewhere around there, about 1 year and 8 or 9 months ago. Now, this was when Tarkov's recoil was a lot more than what it was now. For the Tarkov players watching this, do you ever remember running a scav and getting to stock SA58 2 years ago? The recoil is insane.
Was from the 7th of July 2022, a full year and a half and about a dozen patches before the patch Riley was on. I think it is important to talk about this accusation, even if it is a small one, because it comes down to an argument of legitimacy. In order to delegitimize Riley and her defenders, people like IQ and Call of Shame will point to instances like this and call them blatant cheating, providing incredibly meager and downright diabolical evidence to support their position. And yet, as a result, the moment you look into any of their evidence, their credibility just sinks because of how awful it is. So, the situation we find ourselves in is no longer about Riley's legitimacy, it's about IQ's, and it's definitely about Call of Shame's. How can these people be touted as reliable sources of information and credibility when this is the lengths they will go to in order to lie about someone they don't like? This section is a fun one to talk about because it really just signals to me how incredibly idiotic a lot of people are. Riley detractors have convinced themselves that she is just really stupid. Anything from saying she admitted she was cheating in the clip where she shot a guy behind a rock.
That's 5 frames to go from that right onto where someone is behind the wall. That's a little suspect.
Wow, I flicked straight at that guy through the wall.
You sure did.
She is deleting her VODs, which is a clear sign of cheating.
There's show account now, taking VODs down means you cheat. All this stuff that just seems to be acceptable in Battlefield or COD, it doesn't happen over here in Tarkov. Deleting VODs is an instant you cheat.
Riley is cheating because she opens up notepads with her cheats on them.
Okay, so right there in Notepad open, we have Valorant something. I mean, who knows what that could be. I remember when I cheated, I used to have Notepad folders just full of accounts and different passwords and keys to cheats I was using at the time. Just so much info that I needed to just keep all together because it was just impossible to remember.
She's cheating because she has multiple accounts.
What is the point of having all these accounts that I have proven are yours? Why do you have all these accounts, Riley? People who play legit don't have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different Steam accounts, Riley.
She is cheating because Pingu admitted to making cheats in the past, so that means she is making them for her now.
Why would someone go out of their way to make a throwaway video that explains absolutely nothing? Well, it turns out the person so eager to defend him is none other than Riley's own editor, the same person responsible for editing all of his videos. But get this, Riley's editor isn't just an editor, he's also a cheat developer. That's right, the very person defending him is the one supplying him with cheats.
Big shout out to Call of Shame.
So on and so forth. At what point does someone just take a step back and ask themselves, am I being trolled right now? Is someone actively trying to mess with me? Because if they aren't trying to make me look silly by believing the things that I do, then they must be authentically stupid. Is that the position we are going to take? Is that how comfortable you people are in your belief? Mr. 10IQ.
I'm an idiot.
Mr. Shame, even Mr. Monkey. In a community where cheats are incredibly blatant, cheaters are hounded and chased out by legitimate players, where cheaters try their absolute hardest to hide any and all evidence of them cheating, are you seriously going to take the stance that you thoroughly believe Riley is actively showing you evidence of her cheating because she is too stupid to know any better? It's all well and good to make these grandiose claims and stir every single conceivable pot there is to stir in this community, but what about showcasing actual cheats and what they look like? These individuals, as much as they try to convince you otherwise, haven't actually provided any evidence of cheating. They haven't discussed these clips in any sort of detail. The closest thing we get is this rubbish, playing a 180 FPS clip that was captured at 60 FPS and going frame by frame to what? Showcase Riley's reaction speeds?
If there's a person literally right there, it's never just an instant fucking lock straight onto the person. It's always like lands down here or over here. And then on top of that, once the aim gets to its area, it wanders around. And the reaction time, let's really pay attention to it. I mean, wow, look how many frames went by. Okay, now, this is another good example. Calculator out. How many frames are going to go by here before Riley reacts to this guy? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Again, it's around that same time. Something I noticed is consistently, it's always around 200 to 240. Consistently. If you watch this first stream and you average it out, it's always around 200 to 240. Which, again, I'm not taking nothing away from the dude. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's better than me. It's better than me.
So first thing, we see 2 troublemakers, might as well start blasting them. Makes sense finally using cover for once, probably on accident. Blast this guy a bunch. And then transition. At least we know that guy's there, but odd to snap to the wall. Like if you're prepping, you want to be properly prepped away, but decides to walk it in with a strafe, it appears. Shoots him a little bit, and then was like, oh, it's not important. Let's go to the next guy. Alright, moving on to the next one. Just more of the slaughter right in the back. Sneak attack. Alright, again, we're moving before this guy's even done. I don't know if that's like a network thing, but it's concerning. Alright, working on this prone guy. Dead. Blah, blah, blah. Working on this guy. Boom, boom, boom. Dead. Let's see. Dead. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 3. Slow for Battlefield 5 Riley here. Saw this guy. Just in time. Boom, right on him. Just brrr. This was an interesting overshoot here. I'm not gonna lie. Let's look at this overshoot. So it just snaps it over there and then kind of walks it in. All right. So.
Really? Nothing about snapping to specific body parts, no mention of jank or inhuman aim, consistency, wall hacks, just politely going, ah yes, this person took exactly 15 frames to kill her target, yes, and when in this other clip she took exactly 12 frames, oh my, yes, indeed, very interesting.
Of course you have. No shame in it. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless.
Another thing I wanted to mention about reaction speed analysis, at least more so why it's complete and utter rubbish and is a poor metric for discussing Riley's consistency, is because of a little known concept in gaming called TTK, or time to kill.
Time to kill is a metric that's taken over every single FPS game and ultimately decides how you perform. This measurement of time has left its mark on every weapon spreadsheet that matters, and the finals is no different. This always leads to meta weapons that higher level players will use in order to get an edge in combat.
Time to kill refers to the amount of time it takes you, the player, to kill an enemy combatant, whether that's an AI or another player. Players who become good enough at the shooters that they play typically will end up with a very good understanding of how long it takes them to kill another player using their preferred weapons. It is something you will consistently see in higher level play, whether that's ranked matches, tournaments, or pub stomping and low MMR lobbies. Players like Riley who tend to focus on target switching won't be waiting to confirm if the person they have just shot is actually dead. They will already know how long it takes to kill them, generally speaking, and will instead use that time to flick to another target. You can see this happening in some of Riley's footage, including the viral footage that went around Twitter. And in Battlefield 6, the new game she isn't completely comfortable with yet, you can see her switching between targets even though she hasn't killed the first one. This could be due to a number of things: muscle memory, lack of experience with her chosen weapon or class, higher TTK in 6 as compared to 5, lag, poor performance, whatever. The point is, if you want to analyze Riley's gameplay and the only thing you can even bother doing is busting out the calculator to figure out how many frames it takes Riley to kill a target, you desperately need to have a much stronger understanding of the concepts I've spoken about throughout this video. You can't just look at her day 1 footage, say that she is slow, and call it a day. It's incredibly lazy and just downright pathetic. And how exactly do these people judge the aim on day 1?
Let's check this aim out. Oh, bit off target there. Moving around. Oh, off target.
She is hitting him, you baboon. You can clearly see the hit markers.
Oh, off the right. Bam, down below. Bopping around, but not even landing shots right there.
What do you mean not even landing shots? The guy is dead. She is hitting a corpse in the exact same spot.
Oh, let's break this down. Wow, look at that aim, boys. Just shot him in the balls. Swang all over the place. Will he land a shot?
Yes, she is hitting every single shot as confirmed by the hit markers, yet again.
Oh, no, miss. Shooting the floor. Shooting the floor. Shooting at his boots. Shot his golf. Shooting off to the left. Finally killed him. Oh, here we go. Pay attention to this aim right here. This is day 1 aim. Kind of close, a little bit low. See the recoil jumps there. Off to the left. Missing. I haven't landed a shot yet. Hitting below. Hitting above. Oh, there we go. 1 shot. Off to the left. Wow, it's all over the place. Wow, landed 1 shot of an entire drum mag. Landed 1 shot. Wow.
It's all going to the exact same spot. They can't hit the person behind cover. Because he's behind cover.
That's not like Riley.
Yeah, I think you guys get the point. This isn't criticism. Even when being showcased an actual clip of somebody cheating with a full breakdown as to how and why they are cheating with references from someone who knows what they are talking about, these individuals can't seem to grasp the differences being provided.
And this is a person they finally called out for cheating, which, I mean, you'll see, pretty wackadoo compared to what we just saw. So let's get into it. I gotta stay zoomed out on any copyright issues.
Shooting at this guy, he immediately, once again, flicks down to player belt line, right there. And it's super fast. I'll play this in real time so you get an idea of how fast these downward aim adjustments really are, but we'll take a look at it in slow motion once again. So there's the micro track on the second player. Here's the third kill. Here's the adjustment to the staircase. Good pre-aim, no reason to really change. And then the immediate switch down to the player's belt line with, again, a micro track. So we'll just watch that one last time, then I'll play it in normal speed. Boom, and he tracks him as well. Watch this again, just so you get an idea of how fast these downwards adjustments are. Flick, flick, and flick down. So
now see, so the funny thing is, after what you saw before, that doesn't even look that impressive, does it? Doesn't look that crazy as far as how fast the target transitioning is and other factors of dwell time on whether or not you're perceiving someone's dead. And so this was enough. This was enough to be like, this guy's a cheater, pumpkin eater.
For some reason, Enders has a vested interest in protecting Riley as a cheater, but is also conveniently okay with exposing other cheaters like Shimmy and helping to remove them from Team EXE. Yes, this must just be another one of those fabled conspiracies. These morons also like to bring up that Riley's aim was shit on day one because the cheats just weren't available yet. But they also don't ever really bring up what the cheats look like at all, because they're really blatant.
Battlefield 6 already has hackers. There's currently a clip of a cheater in the Battlefield 6 open beta running around with wall hacks going viral. And even though hacking in an open beta is extremely lame, there is some good news. EA has already banned the cheater, most likely due to secure boot being required to play the game on PC as part of Javelin anti-cheat. It's really good to see how quickly this guy was banned, and hopefully cheating won't be a big issue for Battlefield 6.
Tactical needed on the marked objective. Be advised, hostiles attacking Delta.
Oh yeah, those definitely look like cheats. And since Riley is supposed to be stupid, it does make me wonder why exactly she hides her cheats so much better than these people do. I guess that's as good a segue as any to talk about soft aim. Enders has already provided an example of soft aim, which is a cheat specifically designed to provide subtle aim assistance rather than a full blatant aim bot. The problem with saying that is that soft aim is still incredibly blatant. I had a few examples of it in my last video, but Boren also provided an example of sophisticated hardware soft aim for Call of Duty Warzone, which, as you can see, is still pretty damn obvious.
Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the side. Contact! Enemy soldiers nearby. Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
At the very end, he undertracked slightly, only because he took his foot off the DX Racer Hackerman's foot pedal. You can still see him locking onto hitboxes and tracking them, as well as locking onto points despite shots still bouncing mid-chest. If you're going to claim Riley is using this sort of soft aim, then you need examples of other players using similar cheats where the gameplay looks the same.
When we compare this sort of footage to Riley's aim, even in the best of examples, it's not even close. Riley's aim is nowhere near as consistent as what we can see in these examples of soft aim. To claim otherwise is to be blatantly dishonest, or severely ignorant. So, if Riley wasn't cheating in Tarkov, if Riley wasn't cheating in COD, and if she was definitely not cheating in Battlefield, did she ever cheat? This will be a small section because I don't think I need to provide significant commentary. A common defense for Riley's aim is that Riley just spends a lot of time playing Kovacs, which explicitly trains her aim. So what would the next logical step be? Well, how about we just accuse Riley of cheating in that too? Riley isn't that good at the game. She has 1,500s in it, but all she does is just install an aimbot that makes the shot for her, which is just not how cheating in Kovacs works.
People tend to cheat in aim trainers in a very different way to how they do in games. Aimbotting has been tried before, but usually gets caught very quickly. With no visual clutter to obscure how your aim looks, their inhuman style becomes more obvious. So instead, people turn to slowing down the aim trainer. Aiming in slow motion makes your movements still look human and believable if done right, while also giving you a massive advantage when competing with others. I feel very confident saying that a lot of Shimmy's more recent scores are cheated. Probably basically everything in these last couple months, and we can confirm that 7 of the 8 scores he submitted for the Astra rank had their timers edited in, and the other one we just can't check. Kovacs isn't installing that score's data anymore. The only reason I can think of for editing in timers that doesn't involve cheating would be accidentally leaving it on when going for a benchmark PB, but that's the kind of mistake you only make once. Between everything else we found and his history with cheating in multiple games, I see that possibility as very unlikely.
If we can't prove that Riley was cheating, if we can't prove that Riley was banned, then what can we do? Well, how about we attack Riley indirectly? How about we attempt to delegitimize her again by attacking her teammates and people they defend? People think Riley used cheats because Pingu sarcastically said she developed cheats for Riley, but what about other players? These people have entire communities formed around the idea of exposing cheaters and grifters. Surely they must have some concrete evidence to suggest that somebody within Riley's circle is actually cheating.
So a whole ton more info has come out on Focus and Enders. Now, if you actually go to Focus's Discord and scroll back to the very first post, It turns out Enders was banned from some Call of Duty or Battlefield servers back in the day. Likes to laugh and joke about it. I found someone who was actually a lot better than pulling up these old accounts than what I was. Originally, I thought it was just a server ban for something in particular. No, it was actually focused using cheats, speed cheating or fly cheating. I'll put the post up on the screen. As you see here, admits to cheating. The thing I don't understand with this focus. Now, I'm someone who's admitted I've cheated, okay? There's no way in the world I would start posting world record kill attempts and all that kind of stuff. It makes no sense to me. Plus, on top of that, the coaching lessons. This guy has downloaded and used cheats in a video game. Now he's posting world records. Yeah, no, that's too much for me. There's not even a video out publicly for this guy speaking on the decisions he made to cheat in a video game. And it's just, I guess if you just bring this up, you just get abused or just treated like shit or blocked or banned or, you know, just treated like a hater. It's like, man, you haven't addressed this. The way to go about this isn't just abuse anyone who brings it up and say, oh, this was years ago. Brother, where's your public announcement? Where's your video speaking on it?
In this video, IQ discusses a few people who have been banned for cheating that have been defended by Enders, a former teammate of Riley on EXE, namely Nadia and Focus. My main focus will be on the second player, and I will let Boren explain what happened with Nadia.
Also bringing up Nadia, claiming she was permanently banned from Call of Duty, which is just not true. I had heard this claim floated around a lot of his videos. Nadia is streaming Call of Duty to this day. She had been banned from Call of Duty events after being an IRL streamer and starting an OnlyFans, but was not permanently banned from Call of Duty. Call of Duty can ban you for crazy things. False Call of Duty bans happen frequently and usually get resolved rather quickly. Call of Shame uses Nadia to attack other creators constantly to completely discredit any credentials they otherwise have.
This is the same guy who publicly defended Nadia, going so far as to break down my video live on his channel.
He also brings up Marksman, another pretty cool creator, suggesting the only reason he defended Riley is because of the trans flag he had as his Call of Duty emblem.
Then you've got names like Marksman, hyped up as a search and destroy demon. A demon? We all know why he defended Riley, so let's not pretend.
Big shout out to Call of Shame.
Thank you, Boren. Now, on to Focus.
I noticed he was playing with a particular teammate. The name was familiar to me because I've seen a lot of this same community of trans people saying that this creator was also extremely bullied for no reason. Another creator from Ender's circle of just cracked AMR COD pros, unfairly bullied for some reason. No one knows, but we should just furiously defend them based off just trust me bros. And what do you know? That's Focus. That's the guy they're all talking about in Ender's Discord. The hard done by guy who just had a rough run and no one can figure out why all these terrible things have happened to him. Let's take a look online at his gaming career also. Wow, 276 kill, world record, Battlefield 2042. Why has no one heard of this guy? Banned. 100% cheats. Wow. So turns out Focus was banned. The reason for his ban on one account was because he was linked to this account, which was banned by, I guess, Battlefield 4 admins or God knows. But the reason his main was banned was because it was linked to this account that was banned.
According to this website, BF4DB, Focus was banned because he was 100% cheating, as well as banning other aliases he had over the last 8 or so years. Now, I'm not a Battlefield player, and as such, had never heard of this group before. I naturally assumed there was a forums page with a list of players who were banned from official EA servers. There's that word again, official. So I looked them up, as people with a particular interest in a topic are bound to do, allegedly. And wouldn't you know it, they are a little more than just a forums page. They also apparently host and manage a large chunk of the service on Battlefield 4 at this moment in time. Likely because the support for that game has long since died, and the anti-cheat system for that game is probably acting more like a thin layer of plastic to the hard, throbbing hacks of enemy players. Now, if there is anything people should be made aware of, it's that when you give community oversight to a third-party group who are not officially supported by EA, fishy things are bound to happen, such as a number of people supposedly being banned for unfair and malicious reasons, going back as far as 10 years ago. They seemingly also make it incredibly difficult for you to appeal a ban, with some players stating that they were banned without any actual proof of cheating, just being removed based on pure suspicion. And if there's anything this last month should have taught us by now, it's that pure suspicion and certified 100% cheating allegations from people with no discernible qualifications or authority should not be taken as legitimate. But of course, I had to make sure myself. I had to use my own eyes and form my own conclusion. So I went ahead and watched these vids that IQ pointed to as suspicious. And what am I supposed to take away from this footage? Nothing about his aim or his movement indicates cheats. He is consistently missing shots. We see him getting beamed by players if he isn't behind cover. He routinely uses his stims to regain health. His aim isn't reflective of any of the soft aim mechanics we've explored so far. It's just good old-fashioned consistency. Now, there may be evidence of focused cheating that I'm just not aware of. And no, saying he was cheating because he used flying hacks in a private lobby 10 years ago with no other players in it isn't evidence of him cheating in an official EA server with other players present. Based on the footage this individual has chosen to discuss, I can't find fault in Focus's gameplay. I initially thought that 10IQ, despite the terrible points, wasn't a total dick about Riley being trans. He was indifferent, preferring to focus on the cheating allegations. He used correct pronouns and didn't bring up the trans community during his arguments.
This particular crosshair was not showing up on her stream when she was alt-tabbing. It was only showing up on the streams that have been privated or deleted and taken down from her channel.
But, as the videos went on, he seemed to falter on this stance, actively bringing up the trans community, as well as purposely using the wrong pronouns despite previously showing at least that small courtesy.
Anywhere near what he claims. And on top of that, the games that he has, a lot of hours in, Destiny and Gary's Mod, they're not really games that are going to help you in Battlefield to be this great pro, you know?
Why do you say he? Immediately, like I said before, if you intentionally misgender Riley, I have to throw your takes out of the window. And that's because you are entering this with a hateful mind. You're entering this with, again, it's the politics, God bless and whatnot, right? Because it's like us versus them. It's a whole political thing where it's like trans people are evil, right? Like these people genuinely think that there's the spawn of Satan. It's insane how much these types of people hate trans people. So whenever somebody comes in and just says, oh, he's cheating, somebody in my chat goes and says, he's cheating actually. I'm like, okay, so you're just a transphobe. You don't actually know what you're talking about. You're just regurgitating this because you hate trans people.
Much like Call of Shame, IQ's credibility has been nothing but an inconvenience to their arguments. Despite this person being a PC gamer with time in PC shooters like Tarkov, he shows a severely limited understanding for the importance of frames per second. He is incapable of comparing footage of Riley shooting in Tarkov to footage that was on a similar patch. He has provided no evidence of actual cheats, whether it be soft aim or the nonsense we saw during the beta. Well, actually that's not entirely fair. He did play these two completely unrelated and very funny clips, and I'm not exactly sure what they're meant to prove. I'm not even convinced he knows how different launchers function, since he seems to think Riley can play Fortnite on Steam, but more importantly, the thing I need you all to garner from this video, over everything else I said to you, is that he is slimy. Not to the same extent as Call of Shame, mind you. I doubt IQ is lying about playing in professional Call of Duty tournaments, and I don't think he's faking his entire channel using generative AI. But he is still intentionally misrepresenting many people he criticizes. He doesn't do any additional work or research into his claims. He accuses people he doesn't like of using just trust me bro defenses, but then does the exact same thing not even 2 minutes later. It's sad, honestly. It's sad that people like IQ and Mr. Monkey feel so insecure and entitled in their opinion that they will blindly follow such horrifically idiotic doctrines while citing the single most sketchy and unbelievable source you could possibly find around this topic. I don't think I'll be covering this topic anymore because quite frankly it's pathetic. That might change depending on, responses to this video, but we shall see. These arguments, this drama, these people are not really worth my time or my energy. At least, not anymore. Thank you all for watching. Please feel free to check out Boron's video covering Call of Shame, and depending on when this video releases, he would have maybe made a second video responding to Call of Shame, who responded to him. Yeah, we're delving into some primo YouTube drama posting. Anyways, take care and see you next time.
Just like before. Not exactly. There are significantly more variables to throwing between two moving platforms. Good luck.